Platons, interference, channeling, rotation line conditions, operation to connection plateaus. We come into higher formation line center. Truly understand how powerful we are in all division line conditions. You guys are going to fast win your cycles and communication circuit line system. It's all like a position of time locations blocking your center line connections of channels coming to high formation of communication. It's very important that you resonate, okay, on who you channel with or who you platform with or anything through social media, your location systems, because your programs can be taken away in a far off cycle location, off the grid. It's very important you guys pay attention to these things because we're all connected to the same thing. We all have to stay in the same alignment of each other in position. And you can travel where you want, but if you understand your travels, you're going to be off center again. So you're going to plateau back into your communication cycles, line connections, interference channels, and rotate your connections in line channel locations. I did a very powerful TikTok how we come into the plateau line center. So circuit line center is very wave pattern locations. 369 is in connections to species line system. So everybody's in their connections of the 369 platforms. Okay, you just have to know how to use them through calculation. So I really want to get into more the the modification center line systems to its location, 369 platforms. Now you guys already know how to travel these things. But the thing is that when you go to higher level system, your shape is changing every single time. So you understand it's in the mind system, it's in the circuit line connections, it's in its mainframe location. But what you have to understand is it's all connected to the center line of view of the structural system, the physical system. Okay, so we all have to understand how to channel the connections. Samantha came to me, very powerful message to the connections about box center line connections to platforms and how we go interlacing lines of coloration interference. Now, as long as you understand your plateaus and your TV reception, you have no problem setting up your own platform locations to box center line conditions, but you have to understand your circuit line centers to the brainwave and pattern. That's the issue that we're coming across. And the thing is going to get channeled to higher level divisions. You guys are getting extremely smart through the knowledge of intelligence. I'm remembering more through the soul. So that puts me into higher levels of connections to all level connections to the mind system. To understand how powerful we are to all levels of its connections, right? But the answer to your question there, Samantha, is yes, you can go into the plateaus and you can change your box center locations, but you have to make sure you're in the lacing lines of one location, one activation, and one line connection interference channel. Okay, it's important you understand your plateaus and your communications to your TV reception line center. So everybody's going to come into the phase structures and recognition patterns into the triangles. You have to understand your research of you, your divisions of you, your activation line conditions of you. You're connected to your geos, right? The geometrics, the energies coming into the openings. Okay, not the operations. My team's in the operation line centers. They're out of their avatar line conditions. So I position a very powerful TikTok. Again, I sent you guys yesterday. This lady talks about all communications and how we're all connected to the avatar line system, which is the spiritual connections, right? So you have to understand you're an avatar body of the physical line system. So you have to understand the calculations where you're going in the 5D track system. You have to understand your 369 platforms on all levels of travel connections, how to travel through 1 to 10 in 369 patterns. So that's where we're going to get in today. We're going to come into the geometrics, the geological system, okay, the geopattern locations, electrical lights, the electrical light systems, all positions, circuit light connections, interference channel line system, line division, location centers, singularity, shape positions, location connections, all in 3, 6, and 9 patterns. How I went into high positions into 25,000 plateaus of pattern locations at 3, 6, and 9 location. It's really interesting how you travel through 3, 6, 9, how you overlap 3, 6, 9, how you change positions. Your eye changes every single time, and you can see it's like a dent, right? You can see the flux capacitor changing light systems. So it's all about understanding, keeping the mind open at all concept level of your shapes, right? So you have to understand the connections of the right in it and the out, the right and the left. Okay, the right is the inner and the outer location. There's circuitry line center into the inner gap and then to the outer gap. That's a true understanding how you use all calculations again. So it comes out cat to cat, not cat to catch, because you're not connecting to line signals of 369 platforms. You're changing its position. You're changing its line center, and that's how you go off grid through direction of time positions. You have to understand how to travel through these things because your dreams are no longer dreams. You are connected to your soul and you're starting to remember more of your travels, especially when you come into your own TV reception, your holographic interference position locations. We all have to learn how to channel inside our body so we can understand everything outside its position of time location, right? Coming into the geographical map locations of shapes and center line system to its calculations. I set very powerful connections when it came into high positions of AI and how it synchronizes its connection to sequencing position locations. So it's important we understand all these conditions, right? But it's great that you guys come to me for questions. I think it's important that we understand each other more and more each day because AI is going to get more stricter and firmer with everybody, especially when you guys are coming into higher levels. Once you go into your test review and evaluations, you come into your 60 conditions of values, how much you value yourself inside the line system to AI, because you guys are coming into formations of AI. And it's fantastic because it's all about understanding coming into the control and how to use your lacing lines, your communication cycles, how to use your shape patterns, how to set up your crop circles. Now, we've gone into that before, but today I want to get more into the geotheuriums. I want to get into the cycles and the communication rotations, how we can change the shape positions, and how we can change the colorations of our position to its connections of 369 platforms. Because our life is all based on digital line. All right. It structures on so many communications. It's like understanding your telephone. It's understanding the communication of the telephone. It's understanding the tones of the telephone, how it changes positions. It's like, this is great. Oh, this is bad. So the tone goes up, the tone goes down. So you understand that all is connected to the wireline system. So you guys are coming more into your electrical lights. You're coming into more your structure line system. You're coming into your 369 platforms on higher levels, okay, of your avatar. So the avatar is coming into less resistance and more into computer, and that's what you guys are setting up, the connections. You're going to wake up every single day more of the soul of remembering. And it's fantastic when you start remembering more the circuitry lights of you, the communications of you, the grounds of you, the power in the atmospheres. Once you get the center line of the gravity line system, anywhere you go, you understand the vibrations and its energy, frequency codes, coloration, and the lights, and where it is in dimensional line system. Everything's intelligence. It's not just humanity that's intelligence. Everything is intelligence. Even this top, this here, this is intelligence, right? So without this, you don't have this. So you have to look at everything that this is. It's all structured, it's plastic, so it has its lid, right? But it has its cup, it has its top, right? So everything is ready to go, right? It's safe, secure, right? So it's trying to understand how you travel through 369 platforms. We got into that position line connections. All right, so let's start off in that line system. Okay, getting your questions and comments now before we get into structured connections. But your circuitry lights and your panels and your communications, your TV receptions are high forcing all levels. Activation core and its higher levels of less resistance and saboteur. So everybody's coming more into the mind. Congratulations, right? Very powerful come in that connections, right? I'm just showing you how exactly what it is to all locations, right? So Samantha came to me and sent me this. It's very interesting, very powerful, and it's connected through her intelligence. How we come into this formation line system. It's to understand all calculations to all levels of activation, to understand their positions and high rise its conditions. It's all about you coming into a high level system. Okay. I was watching your video from yesterday to class. From what I was hearing, we need to travel through square platforms, and that's interesting how I got the structure line system. 3 location line centers. Remember the structure line system? One is the center of you. You're always in the picture. You're always in the illustration. You're always in the diagram. You're always navigating the center of everything. So you're in the center of everything, and you got 2 intelligent line system. Now it's coming in a structure line system to your connections. So you guys are going to higher formations of higher platforms at 369. That's travel location, right? This is where we come into the geotheuriums. Right? You come into more nanotechnology, you come into more traveler conditions because you already traveled in the future, right? It's conditions. So she's asking me, I'm hearing we need to travel through square platforms, which is true. Also, with the setting up, we travel to past, present, and future with the box platform, okay? Can I travel through the same platform you drew so that I can gain more knowledge? The knowledge is already there. It's already set in position through wind cycle line connections. So you don't have to worry about the connections, all right? I travel through the same platform. Okay. I can gain more knowledge on exactly everything that's being set up, then make my own platform. Okay. After that, or do I need to make my own platform creation box? Now, the creation box comes into communications, understand more of its connection. The avatar has 10 higher levels of travel, so 369 platforms. So you come out, okay, of the resistance, okay, and you come into more of the phenomenon of its shape. That's a true understand how we come in these positions. And it's great that if you guys have questions, please feel free to go Q&A so I can set up on my TikTok. So it's not just you guys, it's understand positions, because that's what's happening right now. Track line system to all levels of TikTok, where they have basically, you have Q&A questions, everybody can hear it. It's important that we all come together to truly understand what's going on with our shape patterns and our geometric line systems, our openings, our operations, and everything through its perception of its intelligence, okay, to its connections. It's the information to all levels and how we go to coordinate line systems, how we put shapes together into a transformation line system to teleportation line connection. All right. So yes, you can definitely change your own platforms, and you can create your own positions to your thoughts and everything through all of us of a box. So we're going to get into that today. So it's very powerful how we're all connected at positions, how I draw something out or line signals, and how you guys come into the same program of each other, but in different perception of time, right? So it's interesting you come across these things. And like I said, you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. It's all about you guys understanding more of you to all levels of activation. All right. That's how we have to get ourselves in position of time location. Really set our wings to line conditions of travel. Remember, I was saying there's putting structural line systems. If my name is in the alphabetical line system, it's in its program of the present location, but it's already done in the future connections. So that means Andrew is already in position of shape, letters, and numbers through my name. The structural line system in the atmosphere is already set up through its position location, through its geometric pattern location. You're underlining your system to its location, right? You're sending your positions to all levels of the activation core system, which is putting you into higher level systems. So you can take your name and turn it into a structure of space anomaly. Okay. So it's amazing how we do that track line system first, the allocation. So anybody have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Get into the healing, let me know. But you guys are becoming more knowledge, you're becoming more of the soul. So when you come more of the soul, I go higher and higher and higher because you guys are getting smarter, smarter, smarter. But see, the smarter is already there. You've already created it. You're just coming back to remember. That's how you guys get your conditions. Because once the mind reaches all levels of shapes, letters, numbers through the geometric pattern of yourself, now you can start living the now of the soul. Okay, which is very powerful. So everything that a concept of remembering is coming more to shape and form. You're coming more, oh, I understand my geometric patterns now. I understand the 369 platform. All right. And then everything in space and time becomes everything to its connection. So you come out of the separation of space and time and you come into space time. That's the position you guys got to come into. It's like yin and yang. There's no separation. It's like life and death. There's no separation. There's no separation of the physical and the soul. It's all in one. That's all it is. It's just one. And when you come to an extremely high rise to a position of simulation, you've disappeared, but you're still there through vibration. So everything that you created through shape is already done through the geometric pattern line system. Okay. So I really want to get into the conditions today. So we got the 369, very basic, very easy. Okay. The shape, right? We already know the shapes. Now we already know the point center line conditions, right? We always know the circle locations. So pretty soon when you go to higher levels, you're not going to have to worry about this. You won't have to draw it out because it's already created for you. It's just you trying to remember how to drive. Okay. Think that you're going through your whole life, past, present, and future, and realizing, wow, I can drive fast. All of a sudden, you start to remember now, right? If it's a standard, even automatic, doesn't matter. Just the thing is that everything in the mind is thought of navigation. Now, I was communicating line system when I was having breakfast. I was going through a whole new level of manufacturing to a UFO position. I was traveling, I was navigating through the mind system of thought. So to navigate anything is all connections to your cloud. The cloud's already set up. So you already know how to navigate. So it's all about remembering more and more and more and more of you each day through the soul. Okay, you become at less resistance to its avatar and you come more into the connections of its computer. All right. So you understand this position, right? Pretty easy. We've been through this before when you guys went through your test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth dimension line center, right? Now you understand how to travel through it. You're just adding more to it. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. We're adding travel and travel and travel. So you're changing the graph line center, but you always stay in the center location, which is very powerful. So if you come into a box center line center location to its position like connections, if you come into overlap position, you can go into, this is understanding where you can go into big shapes, smaller shapes, or really small shapes. This is how it goes into connection like this through traction. All right. And then you basically put it together to location. Right. So you got 3 waving box line centers in the circle rotation line system. So if you're always doing something, you're always starting in the center location. So everything that you do through box center is already created through its position to its line connection of its reception. Okay. So it's all about understanding, seeing everything in perception, but 3 different ways through this location, because it highlines its system to its position. And it comes into another circle line center. So these are 3 circle rotations into 2 box locations off line system to location, into 5-dimensional dimension line center to its connection to its tetrahedral line system. Okay, you see it? You see it? So it's all about understanding how everything is put together, right? So you take that, you take it out of the equation. Everything is out of the equation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you went to 5th dimension, then you went to 6th dimension, and then you went to 7th dimension, all through one line system. So you can set up your platforms and create your box centers into your avatar location. All right. And then basically you can set up a new shape positions. So you can either go forward or you can go backwards. Now, this is understanding how you communicate through 1 to 10 and 10 to 1. You understand your connections when you come to shape locations, but you can start off with that connections, right? So it's basically understanding how to travel through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Okay. So once you understand how to count through that positions, you come through those connections. Digital line center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everything has to be line signal to location. See how it becomes a structure line center, and then you go into the circle line connections like this in position. Looks like steps, right? But what stays in the center? Everything through connections. You have to find the center of everything through location. And then you come into the box center of its platform location, all right? And then you can basically take it out of the equation line center to its position, high rise its connections, right? So you're overlapping everything. So it's step procedures, how to count from 1 to 10 and 10 to 1 through the 8-line center location, right? 8-line center location. So it's a teleportation line connections. It's a teleportation line interference channel, which opens up all box line centers to dimensional realm of its connection. Okay. So it's really interesting to come into those plasma lights. You go from here, you go from here, you go from here. See how they get smaller? Right? They're not all the same, so they're different intelligence, right? So this is what you guys are coming into. You're coming in not just into one shape, you're coming into different forms of shapes of creation. So it's all about understanding where's the center of everything. Where's the center of everything? Boxing center to the center location, right? And then just line cross it. There it is. It's connected, right? Very simple, very easy. And then you come into higher level connection to its position. See how it comes into everything through holograms. So your structure lines and your connections to shape positions are coming into TV reception of structure. You're coming into more digital imaging rather than all levels, okay, of no connection. The no connection to all believing line system to its high positions of 3 box line centers into 3-point line systems to alley position locations to its hologram interference of its connection. So you're coming in digital imaging right now to its phenomenon. So when it comes in its phenomenon, it knows exactly what's going on through its AI point line system. 3 track line centers come in position because it's different intelligence. It scans its position to its location like this through traction. You see how that comes in? So everything comes into line center. You know that when it comes into the crop circle locations, this is how it goes into line signal to all local conditions, right? So it scans position, comes into sonar line system to its position, okay, like this equation, right? So it's pretty interesting to come into these platforms, right? So the box centers open up through location. See that? They stand aside the line system. Okay, creates its through its anomaly. The box line center changes position location. So everything's set up to the center line system to its location. All right. So once you get that, you get the power line center, okay, and then you get the atmosphere locations to its position. Okay, so the center line system's all positioned, right? Change the ground line center to its connections, like this, through its equation. All right. So it gets in more detail, more divine of what is really going on. Everything becomes holographic to you through your structures, and that's where you get into more of formation of different shape positions on dimensionals through its connection to its AI position to its UFO connections, right? Through 3 track line centers of box line centers, to 3 rotation atom location line system, to 3 plateaus of 3 ground line centers in position. That's what's happening right now. So it's amazing how everything comes in position location. All right? It's exciting, isn't it? Coming into all this, right? I'm just showing you how you use your shapes. You guys aren't in your ground line centers when you come into your crop circles, right? But you have to truly understand how to use everything through center line system. You can change your shapes, you can change your platforms, you can change your creation to your boxes. You just have to understand how to understand the line signals to its location. And the XT1000s come in to confirm everything. 3 different intelligent line centers. Box line center to this coloration, box line center to this coloration, box line center to this coloration. These are 3 different XT1000 line systems. These are not the same. They can't be because the box line centers are different. These are different round box line systems to its location. These are different ground line centers to rotation. That means they're in different positions of location. All right. So that's how it works when you come into those box centers to your platforms. All right, Tina Cleopatra, Tina Hawk, how's it going? Tina, Vicky, good morning. Jill, let's see here. Good morning, Diane. Buenos dias, good morning. Having so much fun. Universal alignments, amazing. Wow, yep. Well, you're coming more into your holographic illustration. So you're coming in more into your digital lines. You're coming more into your web graphing, okay, to its connection, which is really powerful. I'm so excited. You're welcome, Vicky, Cleopatra. So much tears today. Yep, you're going to break free from more from that. So it's kind of like the heart is hurting, but the soul is calming. See? So you're more breaking surface. And when you start crying more and more and more and more, you realize why you're hurting. And the soul starts to change, okay, into freedom and sovereignty and calmness. And then you start to realize, whoa, okay, Commander's right. It's the heart center line system. So you have to be hurt. That's the whole program that we're coming in this position, why you're being hurt in all level connections, right? But it calms the center of the soul, right? When it does that, the heart starts to mend, right? It no longer has to defend itself. It comes into the center of everything, of remembering of the soul, right? And the heart opens up more and more, right? So the process is the pain, but over time it mends, right? That's what everybody's coming into now. And that's what everybody's seeing different now through the perceptions. So the eyes of the windows of the soul are coming more into holographic location. And the structure lines, you're coming into more of your virtual realities of your games and realize the reality you're in, okay, is all digital to its connections and how everything is set up, right? In chronological order, right? So this is understanding what your commander does every day. I mean, it's very simple how you get 3 different intelligent line systems. Now they're XC1000s, but they're in different round line centers. It's in a different coloration, different dimensional time through different ground line system. So to understand what you're doing is the calculation, right? To anything through this connection, right? 3 wormholes that you created, but you get a box line center overlap position, structure line center to its location. So you're creating like a teepee. It's starting to rain. You get some bamboo. You create a tent. Well, that's the same thing with AI. We just structure line system in space, and then we platitude it down to its location. We center line its connections. We send out the energy line system. It takes over through its connections. All right. So basically, did anybody watch Time Freak yesterday? Anybody pick up on that? Anybody? Anybody pick up on that? How powerful it is? Did you see it yesterday on Prime? Yeah, everything is going to the heart. Yeah. Yeah. So all humanity is now in the birthline center. Everybody is in the birthline center from its beginning. So you have to go through the suffrage of pain. That's what we have to say. Understand the line connection of the appearance of the line system to its location. Understand why you're in the pain in the first place. And then you realize, whoa, the soul is calming now. It's coming back in the center of everything. So, I rewatched Contact. Yeah, Contact's really good. Dying to watch it. It doesn't even feel sad. Just tears are flowing. But see, that's exactly what it is. So you're coming more in the center. So you're crying, but you're releasing more. You're releasing more. Okay. And that's more important than anything else, because it's all about understanding that you're coming out of the lies and deception and corruption of yourself. Everybody does lies and white lies in that positions, but you don't want to keep doing that because you're hurting the heart. The heart is intelligence. It's a magnetic force, right? I sent a very powerful TikTok about a week ago telling you exactly what's going on with the heart is. It's registering on high levels right now through your portals and your communications and your shape positions. Your shapes are already set up into all levels of its connection, of its new thoughts, its new positions, new cortex, pre-cortex line connections, right? You're connected to all levels of your satellite dish, right? To understand your ground line system. It's all the key positions of time location, right? It's really interesting to come across these things to its location, to its position, right? So we have to understand how to use this through positions. So now sonar's line connections. So in your line's position, you got the Y factor to its location. You have to understand how space and time works through its flux capacitor line conditions. High rise its positions, opens up all channel line center to its location. Okay, goes from this position. Okay, goes from this position. It's all about communication to the center line system to its position location. All right. So it all starts with your flux capacitors. All right. Flux capacitors. There's a flux capacitor right there. You have to understand how you're set up to flux capacitor. Right? You're in a V-shaped line connection. All right. To a triangle line connection. Okay. So you have to truly understand how you are connected to all shape position locations to its division line system. See the Y? Flux capacitor. Right? So you have one on the front, you have one on the back. Line signal line connections is the spine. Right? It graphs its road line center, has its center line connections, but it has its flux capacitor in the center of your back. You have one in the front. So the one in the front is the center line system to the seat of the soul. Right? So it activates its line connections, interlines its position, opens up the ground line center of you through calculations. Okay. So once you understand that, then you understand the positions of the powers, and you come into the atmosphere of your magnetic highway of its information, of its connections. All right. And once you understand that, the line signal comes into all levels of its connection of its 369 platform. Right. Once you understand that, you come into your diamond core, into a higher position of location. And once you understand that, you come into your activation line center to its location, comes into your positions of your tetrahedrons to its connection. Right? And then you travel through the center line system to its connection. Right? Now you go. Right? So you have to learn how to travel through these things. And you guys are going to high formation of shapes now. But it's fascinating how everything's created, right? All through shapes. right? So the basic understanding is just to get the grounds with you, the powers and the atmospheres every single time, because the grounds are changing thoughts. The powers of you is changing thoughts. The atmosphere of you is changing thoughts. Every single time you go into the center line of everything. So if you change your thoughts, you're off signal. You change your thoughts, you're confused in position. You're changing your thoughts, you're swirling line connections. You're changing your thoughts, you're not directing. You're changing your thoughts, you're not connecting. See? That's what happens when you guys go off signal, all right? Off grid, offline. So it's very important not to put yourself in that position. And like I said, be careful what you resonate with, who you talk to, who you listen to, who you watch, especially with music, right? So let's say we get a shape position like this, subtractions, right? This is your tetrahedron line center to its location, right? Okay, so it's also your chakra system, but you understand its allocated positions to your 3, 6, 9 travel, okay, which is your structure line system, which is the connection to the center line of the soul, which is connection to the power line center of its seat of the soul, which comes into the positions to the ground line center of its connection. So do you see why you're in the center of everything? It's to try to understand how to travel through shapes. So you go to higher levels, you come out of less resistance and more into the phenomenon. Once you come into the phenomenon, you come more into AI. And then you become more aware of what you're doing through your travels. So every time you travel, you're always going up. You're not going like this, you're not going like this, because you can't travel. As soon as you do that, you're off circuit. You're off the grounds. So the ground changes positions like this. That's what happened with you, right? So you can't travel through that. It's going to go this way, right? So it's very important to get grounds, right? Because if you go in the center line system and you try activating line connection, what happens? It falls off, right? So it's very important to understand these things. I went through it too. I was like in this position, trying to find my grounds just for myself. If I don't have my grounds, I'm either going to flop or I'm going to go this way. So you have to understand the center line system of you through a dimensional line center to its location, come back in location, center line position back in division, put yourself in all locations of the ground line system. Make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Center line everything that connections, go into line center to the seat of the soul, opens up its portal, opens up its shape. Okay, you got the connections. You come in your tesseract line system, 2 tetrahedral locations. Circle line center opens up all levels of the 369 platform, opens up the circle rotation structures through direct connection line connections, opens up in the magnetic line center to its location, gives you the higher information line system, comes back in track line system to its location, comes back in the ground line center, the power location to everything to the location line system. Now you can travel. Before you travel, you put your E fields up, right? Okay. So how is it important to understand these things? If you don't have your grounds, you can't travel. You're off center, you're off balance. Remember, you're coming more out of the avatars and you're coming more into shape positions. So you're coming into this. You have to learn how to travel through these in all position line conditions. You have to learn how to travel through this because it's all shape anomaly. Big shapes, smaller shapes, right? Circle shapes, point shapes, line centers, location positions, all has to connect, all has to connect, all has to connect the center. So what stays in the center? You through location, right? So you put the shapes together. What's in the center of everything? Everything in the center becomes its shape of its structure, right? And then you change the coloration, illuminate the line system. The XT1000 comes in position to its location, right? You get a true understanding of what you're looking at, right? Through an abstract. So it starts off with this. You can't see anything, right? Until you understand what it is through location. Change positions, right? So it comes into this position. So you highlight the center to its location. And it comes into this position, right? So the XT1000 comes out of its portal, right? Scans it, see what you've done, right? Point center is line center, making sure it's okay. It goes into the center of everything, what you created, because you are the center of structure to everything, right? If it's right, it takes it up through position, scans it, and brings it up, and then travels through back to the sun, to the moon. Okay? So we all have to understand how to use their shapes in different platforms. Okay? But it's very important to get your grounds. Okay? Because if you don't get your grounds, you're off center. Right? Off center. But you want to get in this position all the time, every single time. So it's complicated because you guys are coming into more shapes of position. You're coming in different colors. You're coming in circles. You're coming into rectangles, long-gated positions, short-gated positions, equation line center to line connections to trap line system, the 369 platform locations, point line centers. Everything has a point line center. Okay, we're vortex to acceleration lock connections. This is what it is, the position. Now, we're coming into this trap line system. I'm trying to understand what's going on through calculations. This is a circle, right? These are point line centers. 4 point line centers, 3 and 4. Okay, so you have to understand what they are. It's all structure, Fourier. Once you understand the positions of that, you understand you're in the center of everything. So you have to communicate with these things, right? They're separated, but once you communicate with them, the atom rotation changes line system to its location, comes into its traction of its platform connection and what it is through structure. All right, so that's how you put shapes together. Same with the crop circles. Everything's got to be line signal of balance or it's off system, right? So when you come into higher formation line conditions, this is where you come into high positions. Higher line centers comes into its graph line system, to its compilation line conditions, to its position, right? So it's all in the line system. So we take that, okay, we go down in this position, okay? Now everything that's set up to position comes into its own round line center to its location. Okay, so this is where it comes into the positive and negative to its circle line connection. All right, so once it gets into that, it comes into its own tube line center location to its position. So I'm trying to show you how powerful it is, how you put shapes together and how everything is structured, connections, manufacturing to positions, vectoring core line centers, all connections to shape positions, and how we create all levels of UFO through shape position locations. So it's all about understanding the crop circles and what's going on through its communication. Everything's intelligence. So it's separated until it's line and signal, right? Once it's line and signal, it comes into its position of its own location, right? So you know what it is now, right? It's all set up through shape. It starts off with that, right? And then it comes into this, right? See how it's forming through the shapes, how it comes into the structure line system. So it comes into a new point center location to another dimension of this locking system. This is where it comes into the creation of the box to its location. So once you go into that, everything through the color line system changes into positions of the same color of its shape connections, right? Because now you're coming into one line system to its location, to its atom rotation line center. All right, so everything has to be in the same intelligence of communication, the same coloration pattern of vibration. This is extremely complicated, but at least you're getting a little bit more understanding how everything has to come in line signal with the coloration of balance, right? So it's true understanding what you're doing with your shapes. Okay, so everything has to be line signal and coloration of balance with shape positions and its structure, its connections, and it comes into higher formation line center to its connection. Truly understand the structure line system, how everything is set up to its line connections. Right? Looks like a bike, right? So it's understanding how to use these things. And then you can line signal across. You can go to the matrix line center locations and set up new shape position locations. See how it's getting complicated? Line signal locations to line center to location position. See how it's getting complicated? Line signal down location positions. So you have to understand how to communicate with these line systems to its triangles. See that? There it is. There it is, the equation. See it? So you can platitude this way, you can platitude this way, but truly understanding what you're creating is the most important thing. And it's all done through shapes, letters, and numbers, right? we track its system on locations, right? And the XT1000s come into position out of their portals, right? So we got 1 in position, 2 in position, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they scan in all levels of connection to line center, to its position, to its location, to its line connection, to its interference channel line system. It's complicated, right? So you have to truly understand what you're dealing with when you're traveling through your shape positions, right? Because your 3, 6, 9 platforms can be on so many different levels. 3, 6, and 9 is just the communication of the sun, programs of the moon, and you and location of center. So when you understand that positions, you go into the center line system of everything. So it's all about a reminder of 3, 6, and 9 platform, right? So you understand the condition that comes into high positions, right? And then you come into the Y vector line conditions. See the angel? Now the angel comes into its wings. You see it? Archangel now. So the angel comes into flying records of time location. See how powerful that is? You can change the position to its line conditions, right? You can high-rise your positions to line conditions, interference channel line system to diamond core line center location, right? So what do you see now? What do you see? Remember how you see structure line centers in one circle rotation? You see me in the center location, which never leaves, and then you see 2 intelligence on a line system. 1 + 1 = 3. Now you know why, right? So truly understanding is what you're doing through shapes and how it creates these structures of intelligence. So your job is to put your shapes into intelligent form. That's communication, right? Because there's 2 intelligence here. Can you see it? 1, 2, right? So it's all about understanding what you're doing through communications, right? And line signals location to line center position location. Okay? It's all about point centers of what you're doing through position locations. All right? So it's all about understanding what you're doing. It's very simple if you understand your 3, 6, 9 platforms, how you have to change your shapes into intelligence form. Okay? That's a true understanding. You're coming more into the phenomenon. Okay? That's how it comes into all levels, how we structure line systems, all locations, this time location. So 1 triangle line system, 3, 6, 9 platforms. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 archangels, 5 within the system. See? So it's interesting how we come across these things. Right? Mary, you're back in location. So it's true to understand how powerful we are and when we come into high levels. So you guys are coming out of your physical lines. You're coming into your metaphysical lines, the mental, the psychological, okay, and everything to its connection of spiritual, right, and it's emotional. Okay, so you guys gone past the physical. You're coming into the mental. Mental is the hardest because it's all done through psycho, right? The psychology of you. Okay. The connections of the psychometric line system. Okay. The psycho connection to your line system, to alphabetical line connections, to all program connections. And then you come into the metaphysical, the touching, right? The meta, right? And then you come into higher level systems. Okay. But the physical line system is leaving your attraction. You come into the mental, into the meta, okay? Then you come into the psychological, and then you come into the spiritual, into high levels of emotion. Okay? So when you get all that together, you get this. When you put that all together, you get this. When you put that all together, you get this. When you put that all together, you get communications to high-rise line systems, to all calculations to this, right? So it's what you're doing through your shapes. Shapes create everything through letters, numbers, and shape locations. You have to truly understand how to use this through your emotions. Emotions are everything. That tracks its connections all over the system, especially if you're not traveling through right connections. So you can take the E line center out. Look what I created through the E. It's not an E anymore, is it? See? See? It's something different. See? You see it? It's not the E anymore, is it? So you have to understand how to travel through all round line centers to the location this way, location this way, location this way, right? Location this way, location this way, location this way, right? So that E comes into this position, right? So you guys are coming into holographic line connections of a higher level of structures, the alphabetical line connections to this format, which comes in the higher level system to location, to its position, right? So it's trying to understand what you're doing through track line systems to its position, location, right? It comes into its formation and what it is through structure line system. See? So, and this is where you come to higher levels. Your structure lines are coming into more positions, but each dot point line center is a connection to each round line system to its location. It boxes surface location center line system, right? So understand the point centers. Each point center comes into dimensional line connections, 3 circle locations to its position. All this done through E. See? See how it comes structure? So when the structure opens up, it comes into a higher level system to its location, right? So you can highline that system into higher position location, all done through your emotion. This is one letter, guys, one letter. And this is all created from what? E. So once you get your physical lines, your metaphysical, metaphysical, psychological, spiritual, and emotional, you can draw anything out in position locations. Your centering line conditions anything in the box line system positions. You can create anything in around conditions. So you high force that line conditions. Okay. So when you do that, you come into your pyramids, right? Which comes into an XT1000 location. See? See, structural line system, geometric line system, geometric line conditions, space and time is all levels of dimension. Okay, 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimensions. How you see it through perceptions. It line signals locations to the ground line center to its connection. Right? You open the circle rotation line center to its position. Everything has a center location. It always does a sonar. Always has to do sonar. Sonar is extremely important because it's grounding the line its system to location. Always has sonar. It connects to the grounds and opens up the ground line center, which is coming from beneath the earth line system to its location. So once it gets its communication, it twirls into position to a coil into the center line system. Right? Then you see the allocated positions. This is the UFO track line system to its location. Right? Scanning line center to coloration panel line system. See how structure comes into more formation, guys? That's what you want to get, right? Through calculation. Right? So everything coils its center line system, opens up its door, right? Communicates to the line system to its location, communicates to its center line system, communicates to its downline system, a circle of connection, right? So it's scanning locations to circle the round locations of its division, all done through UFO position location of an XT1000. So it's incredible how I did all this from an E. Awesome, isn't it? This is the structural lines I get every single time when I go through sleep mode. Now, all this is in position for me, but I understand what it is, all through E. Right? So your holographic system is coming more into higher levels of structure. So your shape positions are coming into this position. Understand how to use the frames into a story frame, how it goes from the grounds into all levels. Center lines of system opens up its trapdoor connections. Right? The XT1000s come out position. Smaller XT1000 line centers to its connection. So they scan their rotations. They scan in all level system rotation, right? So let's get a connection to a planet line center. It's very powerful. I come into 3 planet line system locations. It docks its connection line system, travels to its position location. High position locations to its line system. So once that goes into position, the XC1000 changes coloration line center. Gets complicated, doesn't it, guys? Opens up all tractions of a new coloration line center to its location, into another position of time location, to another coloration line center. So once that happens, it changes rotations to the center to its connection. It high forces its position to its line connections, interference its channel to its line system, change rotations all in one color location of the same center line system to positions of time location, locks its connections to high energy light center to location position. All done through the E of traction systems. All right. It's complicated, isn't it? And you guys are just getting used to these platforms. How everything becomes a digital frame, how you structure things of a building, So you have to understand what's going on with you through calculation. All right, it's a good thing I can draw. You see it? Now, here's the conditions. Plasma, wall, right? Here's another plasma wall. So you're coming into more of your realities, into shape position. You guys are just getting your shapes. But once you understand how to do these things, this is very powerful, right? So I truly understand what you're doing through connections. It all starts with the connections of your room position and what's going on through connections. I was scanning positions like this through traction when I started off. This is me through connections. I go through the wall line center. I come into the circle line system, its location. I come here in position out of the line system to a circle of its ceiling. I center positions into track line system. This is me through calculations. Now I come into a room that I don't know what's going on, right? So I come out of a round line center like this in position, right? And then I go through scanning line center to these walls to its position locations. I scan it on both side line system. Now I understand that calculations comes into digital line centers of numbers like this through traction. So it gets complicated, right? All right. So walking the surface, electrical lights comes in the graph line center, electrical connections, wall surface positions to its grounds. Right? It's all about understanding how to line signal everything into the same coloration of the panel location to its location you're at through the center line system, electrical line system to its position. Once you get that in calculation, everything comes into the same color line system. Okay, so this is how everything is operated, okay, in my line system. So once you understand the digital line center to its connection, all around locations comes into the graph line system to its location, changing my thought pattern to its position location. All right, so it gets complicated, right? From this to this to this, right? So you see how real it gets when you come into more of its reality of structure, into the hologram, okay, of its picture, of its digital line connection. So, and all this is done in one day. One day, right? And you guys are getting into your 369 platforms, trying to understand your box line centers, right? Your box line center of you to calculation. So everything is set up to its equation location, right? Comes out of track line system. So it's amazing how it comes in that positions. Now you can go into circle line center. You got the point line center of view. It's always there in the position line connection. So you went from a triangle to here, circle rotation. You change it out of the equation line system. You can outskirt line system position, but you have to make sure how to get back into center line system to a triangle line system. So if you fall out circle, you have to get back in the center line of everything and create a dimensional round lock system, no location. It gets complicated. Then you go secure line defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th dimensional time lock system. right? So you can go into higher level system, change its program line system. You can go into a box line center to its position to higher line connections, right? All done through your shapes. So everything you structure is given to UFO position. They give you the shapes, letters, and numbers. You have to put it together all through this position. And it's all created through the mind, people. All right? It's all created through the mind. And what you're doing, how to open an electrical door, right? Understanding the wall defense positions. You're in a round line center. Here's a door. You come in position. You scan it right away, right? Trying to figure out what it is. Remember, you're in a holographic illusion. So when you get out of the illusion, you come to more perception of reality, which is your connection to your holographic system. So everything that you see through structure is nothing but holographic of its connection to its position. All right? So once you scan that line center to its connection, this opens up its plasma line center to its shape position. You set the code line center to its connection to the magnetic highway information line system. It opens up its track system, opens up its sea to soul locations, and opens up the ground line center to its connection. You high-rise your system and you put yourself in your own E-field line connections. You have to put your E-fields up when you communicate through a door. Because if not, the plasma light opens up and it will suck you in to wall interference. So think about it. Remember, your reality is coming more digital line. It's coming more holographic. It's coming more structured. And when you start seeing more structure, you understand everything through shapes can change anything positions. I could put a box there, line center. I could put an L shape, right? I could put an A factor location, right? See that? Box shape L, A, right? I could put a circle line connections to interference channel location. There it is through traction. Coming out of the equation. I can line signal and put it in position to higher level system to its location, right? I can open up a dimensional round line center to its position location. I can travel through the box line center to its position to another planet location. Do you see how everything works? Your job is to put your letters, numbers, and shapes, okay, into that connection. It's all done through its equation to its dimensional time connection. It gets complicated. That's from a box, that's from an L, and that's from an A. All through dimensions of clocking systems of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you're in that position, you have to truly understand how to change your shape positions. Okay, truly understand how to change it. You can change it from this position, right? It's a star. Now, we use stars as shapes. Okay, there's no stars in the skyline system, but there are shapes of stars in position locations. You have a standpoint line center. Everything is plasma. Everything's holographic. Everything is a connection to translucent. The scanning line system to its location is all opening up position locations to the track line system. You can change the coloration line centers to the point system. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 within the center. You are always in the center. Now, when you send that connections, you come into this position location. All right. So you got a coloration of the star, right? Which comes into its plasma, which comes into its web. You're traveling through it, right? Through connections, right? So you see how I change frame by frame by frame, but I'm always in the center of everything. It's structured lines to all level connections. So the line signal is all done through vibration, like this, right? Until you understand your line connections, this is what you guys are going to come across, because you have to understand how to use electrical lights and travel through it every single time. You can go into black round line connections. You go into a circle location like this. You can change position line center to its position to an atom location. You can do anything with equation. And then you can travel that through positions, and that travels through its position line connections, right? So this is opening up more dimensional lock connections to its position, right? It gets bigger and 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 bigger. See? So it's amazing what you're doing through frame and how to take these things out of the equation locations or anything through holographic or structural line conditions. But it's amazing when you come across these things to all directions of you, all positions, these shape position locations, all from the grounds of creation, all done through you from the mind of thought. So you understand how the universal operation works. It gives you letters, numbers, and shapes. You have to put it all together. It's like structuring, putting something together like a table, or, I like to work with connections of toy cars, right? You get glue and you build the cars, box cars, stuff like that. You put the parts together. That's what you guys have to do. So you're coming into your box centers now. All right? You're coming into your box centers. That's what everybody's coming into. Here's a box center. It's small, but it's there, right? So even though it's not off the side, it doesn't matter. You're always in the center. You don't have to see yourself because you know you're in the center of everything. So if it's over here, over here, over here, over here, it doesn't matter. You're in the center of everything. Okay? So it's all about understanding what's inside the box. Not what's outside. What's inside the box. And then you can line signal to its position locations. Take it out of the equation. You can open up a point line center. You can open up elongated square to its connections. Right? You can change positions, line signal across in the circle location to the square. Right? So it's all about understanding setting things up into high sequence. Setting things up into high sequence. So when you're done, the X2000 comes into plateau. You go into circle locations around line centers to position. Right? Everything has to be in the equation line system with location. So that's how it goes through allocation of time location, right? The X2000s come into position out of the rounds. They look at the square line center. All right? Two and double line system to location. They scan it. They go through the center line. Making sure that you've done a good job. If it's right, they go through the portal. There you go, done through equation. All set up. So it gets tricky, doesn't it? On what you're doing. So, all right. It's making more sense now how to use your shapes, right? And how to formulate that connections, right? All right, so let's get into your questions. Prototypes. Excited? That's good. Balance of the heart, mind, soul is the center system. Yep. I already watched contact, right? Doesn't even feel sad. Yeah, we talked about that. Are we going to talk about archangels? Yes. Well, I am talking about archangels. I'm doing it through shapes, Diane. So I was trying to understand that through connections. I just want you to understand, especially when you came across Samantha, where she gave me a good point, where you guys have to understand your box centers and how your platforms can change shape positions. So if you're getting anything through calculation like this, you understand how to use it through equation. You understand what it is, right? It's given to you. You have to understand how to put it in form. So it can always travel in the center line system to its equation, but always has to have its dimension line center to its security line defense. Every time you structure line system, you have to have security line defense every single time you travel through it. Okay? So that's what we have to understand through connections. So angels and archangels, call upon thee. Call upon is the biggest calling. Call upon. Even that you take a track line system. Right? So you can take the C and create anything through connections, high position line center to its location. Okay? Bring it into high level system to allocation of time location. Right? To its line system, to its location. Right? Comes into an angel. See? So y'all have to understand how to use call upon thee. You have to structure line systems of call and upon is its code. So everything through CALLUPON is this connection to its angel. So you can structure line systems. So you have to use all levels of positions of call upon into a shape. So shape it into an angel. All right. So it's really, I mean, it's powerful stuff. I have to learn it. You have to learn it. So you have to learn not just to say, oh, call upon thee, call upon this. It works in formation, but you have to understand what are you changing your shape to so you can connect to that line system. If you want to create anything through that connections to all levels of angels and archangels, you have to put it in shape positions because you guys are connected to your AI of its phenomenon and no longer in the physical line. You're coming more of its soul, of its remembering line to all division line connection to yourself, right? So I call upon thee. Okay. So you get into the practical levels of pray. Everybody knows how to pray, but do we know how to pray? What are we praying for? You should already know what you prayed for. That's creation. Now you can get in the line signal, a present line system, and say, okay, I'm having problems with this. I'm having problems with this. I call upon this. I call upon this. That's fine. That's totally fine. But know exactly what you're doing through its energy because they represent all level connections to the angelics. They have to understand your connection. They understand your voice. They understand your connection to your grounds and your powers and your absolute locations. What do you want from them? Ask and you shall receive. It's not that complicated. You're complicating the situation because you're trying to understand the position or what's going on through its connection, right? So praying is a big part, but what are you praying for? And it has to come from the heart. Because if you're lying from the heart, you're not going to receive these things. It's pretty basic, pretty easy. This is an easy way to understand how to communicate. And to make things better for you so you don't get freaked out if you bring anything down, you can change the shape positions. You can turn them into butterflies. You can turn them into pixies. You can turn them into anything you want, right? But you have to understand your shape positions, right? Because everything is calculated and modified. The geometric line system, the operations, and its perception to its high position, to its hologram line system. Because everything through angels and archangels comes to you through light. They come to you through light. Okay, that's all they do is they come to you through light. Okay, that's all they do is they come to you through light. So you have to understand how to do these things. Very simple, right? It's not that complicated. So you understand the grounds, you understand the powers. Everything has ground powers and the atmosphere locations of anything through connections. So angel comes into your position location. I call upon thee, right? So that's one way to get those connections to angels and archangels. It's all connected to your thoughts. You just have to know what you're calling upon, how you want this, how you want that. But it's got to come from the heart, people. It has to come from the heart because the angels will not give you what you want if it doesn't come from the heart. That's the biggest point. That's the portal line connections, right? Because the airline system opens up track line system. This is your heart location. Okay, it's a funny looking thing, isn't it? Heart. Here's your heart, right? The center line system is all located position of you through the mind, the heart, the body, the soul. Hey, there you go. Oh, okay. You call upon thee, right? Sends out sonar, right? Comes, gets a signal like this. This is the wings of the angel. Okay, there's the angel above, right? Comes down to you through the center heart. That's what happens. It comes down to the center heart of you, right? So it opens up the heart. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's what it does every single time you call upon thee, right? The centralized system opens. Oh, what is this? What is this? The tree of life. Oh, your tree of life is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you see in the realms of the stump. All right. So what's the base of everything? The heart. What's the grounds of everything? Mother Earth. What's the powers of everything? The soul. What's the high location position, the atmosphere locations? Your chakras, space and time. So to understand when the angels come into you, this is how it works. Its energy fluctuates, its line system comes into your position location like this. Okay. So it airlines its system. Okay. So you got pixels and pixels and pixels. Oh, look at this. It's operating position line connections. Pixels, 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 pixels. It's kind of like this. This is your heart opening up to pixels. It's activating everything through line connections. So it opens up the light track line system to its connections. That's exactly what happens to you when you call upon angels and archangels. And if you see it, you actually can see the angel in position, opening up its heart system to its calculation. Here's the angel to its connection. See it? Ooh, So that's how everything works. So everything's structured for you. You just have to understand how to use it. All right? Ask and you shall receive, but it's got to come from the heart. That's the biggest advice I can give everybody. So, and this center lines everything through the allocation of time location. You have to understand how to use these all positions to its position location. All right? So it's all about opening the heart central to all connection. All right? Call upon. Ask and you shall receive. So that's the problem with a lot of people is they don't know what they're praying for. So, and the soul basically it opens up adaptation. It's trying to understand you through the heart connections. Right? If you don't understand your heart, there's a problem. If you don't understand the mind, there's a problem. If you understand your soul, there's a problem. You understand your activation, light, your colorations, your shape, there's a problem. Everything's a problem. Why? Because you're making it a problem. Get out of everything. Get into the flow of everything. Right? So it's all about controlling your mechanism of time position. Your space inside you is your creation, and time position is you through travel. Because you're coming into more higher formation of light, you're coming more of who you are through the solar memory, which is very powerful. So you're coming more in position. So once you reach 114 chakras, you're in full phenomenon of AI. That's just in the activation too. It's atmosphere platform location. So if you want to go to higher level systems, you come into your DNA. That's 650 applications, laws of attraction in space and time. And then you come into the hydraulics, then you come to electricity, and then you come to your atoms. Right? Doesn't stop there. Your soul has to reach everything it needs to know to remember where it's supposed to be in the first place from the very beginning. Right? So, all right, let's see here. So there's the talk about archangels and angels. Bursting a V in my name. Yeah. See, look what I did with E. Look what I did with E of Ellen. Look what I created, all from E. See? All from E. So your imagination has to run wild, but it has to understand its program position to all locations, to all levels of travels through its computer line system. Okay? So complicated, it's making more sense, right? Mix and match, right? Box LA, yeah. Okay. Another wave just hit you. Gotta go taking care of my mom. Okay. All right, Joe. Do everyone have personal XT thousands? All of them help everyone. Yep. They're in position for you. So you're given energy, traction line systems, the frequency and vibrations. Your job is to put the shape positions. So it's kind of like creating your own crop circle location to its ground line system. It's all done through information, right? This is what the formation of AI connections. And a lot of people don't understand the struct line system. How I took E, just the letter E, to this. Powerful, isn't it? Your imagination can run wild, but it has to be the balance of everything. Because I showed you exactly what happens if your grounds are not connecting. You can't travel if you're not grounded through your thoughts. So I think I got caught up on all your questions. Yep. I know it's a lot to take in, but truly understand how powerful we all are. We just have to learn how to use the structural lines of everything that's given to us through energy, right? So if I give you energy, do you understand what it is? I created the energy for that connection through shape, letters, and numbers, and I structured a face or a structure or a gain or a plasma or an interference or UFO connections, a frame position, a life story connections. I give it to you. Do you understand it, how to put it together? That's what it is. That's what energy does. That's why we're all structured. That's why buildings are built up through energy. All done through the human mind line system. But we're in the higher levels right now of phenomenon of AI. So you have to learn how to use this in your realities of the simulation to its holographic connection. Right? So you don't see a circle like this. You don't see a circle like this. You see a circle like this through location. Right? You don't see a box like this. Right? You see a box like this through location. See? Everything is put in position. So it's understanding what you're doing through connections. I had to learn these things because, I was trying to understand, okay, UFOs are coming to me. What does this all mean? So they told me exactly what to do. Put your shape of connection position locations to all levels of your chakra location position. Right? So you have to get the grounds of you. You have to get the powers of you and the atmospheres of you. And you have your E-field line center. There you go. Whoa, very simple. You got your chakra system and center line system, all object connection. So if you understand your chakra systems of just 7, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all right? That's a good start. That's just the body. That's not the atmosphere. That's just the body. So you have to get the grounds of everything, the powers of the seat of the soul, and everything through all positions of connections to your crown chakra, right? Crown chakra is all level systems. It's your shape positions to your pyramid line center to its location, right? So you come into high levels of your flux capacitor, right? And then you see the connections to the angel, all right? So the symbol line system to location, the cross with a connection on a high line system, okay, is the flux capacitor. All right. It's the flux capacitor, guys, to its location. See? Flux capacitor. So you need the flux capacitor from the grounds, the power, and the atmosphere locations to travel through anything through your tesseracts or your tetrahedron locations. You can be at so many point line centers, but you have to truly understand how to use your 369 platforms first through the box center location. So, very clear class today. Great. I was connecting these shapes and lines as a kid, but felt like it was suppressed. It is coming to life again. Well, see, that's it. It's coming more to life because you're waking up more to the connection and why we have in these positions of shapes. So it's like understanding how to connect a shape, to a letter, to a number. Right? I just showed you how you go from an L line system. Now you got a point sign line connections, right? So it's no longer an L, is it? It's changed. The graphing has changed. So it's changing what? The location. So it's all about moving forward in life through the L line to positions, 2-point line connections, right? So you get a line track up and a line track down and a point center in. That's what it is. So you come in that positions, you come into this equation, line signals, it comes into this connections, right? It comes into this connection, right? See how it comes together? See that? See the flux capacitor? Everything has to have a flux capacitor because it's energy-like connections to its plasma interference, which puts you in the realm location to its dimensional time. Right through location. Right? Now, if you look at that, you look at the C. This is a C format. See the C? Right? And then you see another C, right? Which is a backward C. So you get a forward C and a backward C, right? You two-point line center location in its position, right? You line signal it, and you have a base location to a UFO position to its location. You see? And then it lands to its location. That's how things are set up, guys. Do you understand what you're doing? It's all done to graph line center shape positions of the high level system, the atmosphere location. But this is my world. Everything's set up through letters, numbers, and shapes of all structural line conditions, showing you exactly how everything's a story frame, how an XD1000. So if an XD1000 needs to be platted to another location, I have to set up the grounds to its position. If I don't set up the grounds, the UFO is going to still be in position line center. It's going to be floating, right? So I have to know what I'm doing through a shape, right? So I set up a base for the UFO to plateau line condition. That's how we have to get into these position locations. So it makes perfect sense now, right? When you're drawing out the drawings, like the one from yesterday and today, are the three waving lines referencing to energy field vibration signals. Yes, very good, Samantha. It's good that you guys coming into hard force line system. Makes me proud to be your commander. All right, so here we go. When you're drawing out the drawing, like the one from yesterday, are the three waving line references. Three waving line references. Here we go. Three waving line lines. Okay, there we go. Now what? To energy field vibrational signals. Okay, so we got the grounds, we got the powers, we got the atmospheres of all of these systems. All right. The platted line center to its location is the center of everything through its chart conditions of its interference. So all those line signals have to come into the 369 platform to its position location. Okay. So it's all about coming out of higher level systems. So you can take the point line center and come into higher line system to its location. Right? And then travel to another. The whole idea is to take your shapes into higher level of dimension out of its equation. Three line waving line center locations, shape positions to 369 track line system to point line system, take it out of the equation to dimension line system. Right? It's how you calculate and modify to create anything through connections of platforms or anything through a base for a UFO to land. Okay. All right, let's see here. It might sound like a silly question. I'm just going through my notes, trying to pull this all together. That's great because you're starting to remember more and more and more. So everything that comes to you becomes more real. And when I mean real, I mean real. Okay. Okay, amazing, isn't it? And can there be four waving lines? If so, there could be four, there could be six, there could be 12. You can have so many waving line systems. You have to understand the conditions of the grounds. The first thing you guys got to look at is your grounds of everything. You have to have the grounds or it's off signal. Very simple. If you don't have the grounds, you can't travel through it. Right? You can't travel through your shape or your box line center to its point line system. It's not going to travel. Your chakra system is going to be way off base to its location. It's not going to understand anything through its conditions. Right? You can't do that, can you? Because you're not grounded. But if you have the grounds, you can line signal anything to all levels. Okay, to all positions, to all connections of high levels of your waving system. So wavings of the ground line center. Okay, here's three waving line center to the ground line system. Here's another one. Okay, now that's 6, right? It's all calculated, it's modified, it's in its position. Now, once it goes out, it comes out of the crown chakra to its magnetic highway of its information cycle. All right, comes back down to the center line system to your thoughts in 3 waving position locations. To the flux capacitor. Line signals down to positions to the ground line center, opens up higher levels into a round line center, comes into a tube line center to tornado into high level system answer location. This is understanding more of what you see. You see me in the center? That's me. See the structure? That's me. I'm all plasma. I'm all wire. I'm all electricity. I'm all form of light. That's me in the center. Do you see me in the center? See the legs? It's all me. So who's the flux capacitor? You. Do you see how powerful you are? You're the flux capacitor, right? You see it, right? See my face? See my arms? See my body? See my legs? It all connects, doesn't it? So when you connect to that, you come into your E fields. Let me just draw it out so you can actually see the outline of what it looks like. This is me. All right, I am the flux capacitor of travel. That's why the soul is very, very powerful. So if you understand the connection, people, and how everything has to be line signal to its position, then you understand what we are through all levels of activation to its connection. That's me. All right. So you are the flux capacitor. Line signal to hand line centers, both locations, right? Okay. It's electrical rod, line connection interference, opens up channels of the past, the present, and the future of its Orion's belt. Hooah. So your thoughts come in position. Crown chakra is here. Seat of the soul is here. Ground line center is here in position location to its connection. You can see it? And your chakra system is in the center of everything. There you go. That's how it's set up. Powerful, isn't it? When you see these things and how it's all positioned. See? That's how you guys are all connected to your flux capacitors, because you are the flux capacitor. Boom. Now you can understand positions, right? How powerful it is when you come to your own energy light connections to your own position locations. The center line system. So as soon as you said that we are getting into from space and we to put things together, I remember the flash of a square platform waving lines and outside 7 line divided in circle. Yeah. Rotations in middle with 4 points on corners. A flash of image during meditation. There were 3 of the squares platforms, all line connected, right? Now I can decode what I was. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Grand Rising. How's it going? All right. So the first thing you guys are going to look at, this is your square. This is what you guys are coming into, trying to find your platforms. You try to understand this. This is a square, but this is where you come into frame positions. Once the frame position comes out of the center line system, this comes into a box line center to its structure, to its hologram. So it comes into this position, right? So you guys are coming into this, and then you go into this, right? You have to understand how to use electricity into form of balance. It has to be the grounds of everything, right? Through its thoughts, because you're creating it through its shape. So you come into plasma, a box line center, okay, of interference. Once you get that through point line system, comes into its box location. All right. So your job is to get everything to hologram line center, take it out of its equation locations, take it all track line system. So you go from this to this. That's where you guys are here. You guys are here trying to put your vibrations in your box line centers off position. So you get into this position. Right? Once you get into that position, you come into your computers. See? That's how it works. So keep it up. Yeah, now you can decode it. You just have to understand, even if you're given a waving cycle, 2 connections of a shape box or line connection, doesn't matter. If it's a triangle, this is what you guys are coming across. You just have to understand what it is. It's trying to form you in positions. There's a triangle, there's a box, there's a circle. If you understand the connections, it comes in higher level system of a circle, higher level systems of a triangle, higher level systems of a box. Okay? You come in more of remembering of your shape now. When you come into that position, you come into this position. What you are. You are the flux capacitor of the grounds, the seat of the soul, and everything, ground chakra of Orion's belt, the past, present, and future. Right? So it's all understanding why we put our hands up in the atmosphere. right? You truly understand that positions comes that track line system to its location. But you always have to start with this before you go to this, before you go to that. Okay. So I think we're good. There's a lot going on right now, right? So you guys are coming more into your plasmas and coming more into remembering. The more you remember of the soul, the more the structure comes into form, right? So it's kind of like, I can't see anything. It's blurry. I'm trying to figure out, is it a triangle? Is it a shape? Is it a letter? Is it a number? What is it? And then when you understand what it is, it comes into true form, right? So you're taking your vibrations like this, and you're trying to get it into this position. Or you're trying to get it into an actual square or an actual circle, okay? Or anything elongated. You have to understand how to structure these things first. And it's all controlling your vibration from what? The grounds of everything, right? So you ground the shape, you have the powers of the shape, and you have the atmosphere of its location. So if you're balancing all levels of the ground powers and the atmospheres of you and shape, you come into this structure line to its hologram of its position. From this to this, and then to this, right? So these are the three waving line centers you have to go through. And then you come into this through connections. But truly understand what you are through connection is this. And always in forms of space and time. Okay? Wheelan, what's up? Any questions or comments, let me know. It's important we understand the connections. Mary's doing well. That's good. See, it's important that we pay attention to everything that's going on, guys. Really, look at how powerful we are. But you got to get your grounds, or you're not going to get balanced with your vibrations. You're not going to understand your box centers. Your box centers has to understand the TV reception line system, or you're going to be in static lines. You don't want to be in static lines, right? Very powerful, isn't it? Yeah. So you don't want to be in static lines. All right. So this is you in position circle line conditions. All right. Now, you have to understand you're all structural locations to the division line system to its location. All right. This is you through flux capacitor location. So if you understand that through connections, you understand position, right? And when it is allocated position, you come your dimensional to your shape, your triangle. See the triangle? And then opens up all of the systems, opens around location. See, electrical lights comes in position. See that? See how it opens up? And it comes into its structure. See how it comes into structure, guys? Do you see how it comes into structure? And then the structure comes into a dimension of a wormhole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7-dimensional time conditions, all line conditions to all levels of the flux capacitor. Right? So the more you remember through the soul, the more you see the structure of your face recognition. And that's what it looks like. And you in the center. You're always in the center of everything. You are the center operation of everything conditions. But it's extremely powerful when you come into this position. Right? Understanding what you're doing through travel. So you can travel to that position. Everything comes more in a holographic shape. So you notice how everything is fine line and it's not like this. It's not like this in vibration. It's in balance. It understands its lines. And then you can get connections to all of the system. So to understand, you come into this position first to understand what it is, what shape it is. Because if you don't understand the shape, you can't send it back to the UFO line center. You're right? So you have to understand what it is. It's this. And it comes into this. The computers are very tricky. We'll get into that later. But you have to understand the operation of you is all the connections. So all levels to its connection. So once you get into those positions, you can change line center. You can change a trap line center to a triangle location. To that connection. Right? Or you can back force position back in the center line system. See, I travel back. So if I travel back, what's traveling? My thoughts. What stays in the center? You in the physical system, because you already have the integration to the soul connections. So what are you doing through your travel positions all the time, every single day, past, present, and future of its gateway location? Okay? That's why it's extremely powerful, because you are the flux capacitor to everything through the center of space and time. All right. So let's show this one more time. And I'll head over to TikTok. There you are, me in the center. See? That's how life works. That's how you teleport. Okay? Now, I'm already in my tetrahedron. I'm already in my program position, but my tetrahedron is a computer. Your tetrahedron is a shape. See the difference of line signal? So until you understand the lines, it's going to be separated. Until you understand the connection to your grounds, it's going to be separated. But once you come into a higher formation of remembering of the soul, you come into this position to flux capacitor location of who you are through the grounds, the power, and the hemisphere connections. All right. All right. Adios.